Have you ever felt like the internet is just messing with you? Like a website you use all the time isn't broken, but it's not quite working either? Well, today we're going to dive into that strange modern mystery, that feeling when something is just off.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You go to a site and there's no big error message. It hasn't crashed, but pages are taking forever to load, some of the images are missing, buttons just don't do anything when you click them. It's this super frustrating, confusing limbo where the site is technically up, but for all intents and purposes, it's totally unusable.
All right, so let's start our little investigation by giving this phantom problem a proper name. This isn't a full-blown outage. It's what people in the know call a degraded service. And trust me, understanding that difference is the key to solving this whole mystery.
And the distinction here is absolutely crucial. See, when a site is completely down, it's obvious, right? You get an error, you know what's up, you just come back later. But a partially degraded service, that is a much weirder experience. The problem is subtle, it comes and goes, and it can really make you wonder if the issue is on your end, like maybe it's your Wi-Fi or something. To really get this, we've got a live case study. Our patient, if you will, is the Stack Exchange network. And if you're not familiar, this is a massive, critical resource for literally millions of developers, programmers, and all kinds of experts who rely on it every single day. This isn't just some random website. For a lot of people, it's a pillar of the entire tech community.
And get this! This isn't some fleeting glitch that lasted a few minutes. This slowdown, this degradation, has been officially going on for nearly 2 weeks. That is an absolute eternity in internet time, and a really long stretch of frustration for its millions of users.
Okay, so how do we figure out what's really going on? Let's move on to the evidence. We're going to act like digital detectives here and take a look at the official status page. That's the public dashboard where companies are supposed to report on their own health. And this table right here just illustrates the mystery perfectly. Just look at this. Stack Overflow for Teams, operational. The API, that's the system that other programs use to get data, also operational. But the main public network, the one that most of us use, it's listed as affected. So the problem is really specific, which tells us that something deep inside this complex system is struggling, even while other parts are running just fine.
Now you might look at that 99.66% uptime number and think, hey, that's an A grade, what's the big deal? But this is where uptime stats can be really misleading, especially when we're talking about a degradation. The most important thing is to look beyond that headline number.
Let's try to put that into perspective. That tiny little sliver of affected time, just 0.34%, actually translates to hours of disruption over a couple of months. And more importantly, a number like that just doesn't capture the true user experience of a site that's slow and unreliable for days on end. It's just a raw number.
So we've identified the symptoms. We've looked at the public data. Now let's follow the trail of clues and see if we can pinpoint where this problem is actually coming from.
And this is the key question, isn't it? We just saw that their own internal API and their team services are running perfectly. This strongly suggests the problem isn't with their core servers or their own code. So if the call isn't coming from inside the house, where is it coming from?
Just think for a second about what happens when you visit a website. Your request doesn't just go in a straight line from your computer to the website's main server. Nope. It travels through a whole chain of different services. And this is where we find our next big clue. In that third step, those external services that pretty much all modern websites rely on.
And boom, there it is, the smoking gun. In their very own incident report, the team identifies an external partner, Cloudflare, a massive company that provides performance and security services to a huge chunk of the internet, as the source of the problem. Stack Exchange is healthy, but a service it depends on is not.
So this one specific incident, it actually reveals a much bigger truth about the internet that we all use every single day. Let's zoom out a bit and look at this domino effect and try to understand why in 2023 no website is truly an island.
This is such a simple but really profound idea. It used to be that a website was a self-contained thing, running on its own server in a closet somewhere. But today, almost no major website works that way. There are all these intricate patchworks of different services all woven together.
The official term for this is a third-party dependency. A website like Stack Exchange doesn't run its own global network to deliver content fast. It hires a content delivery network, or a CDN, like Cloudflare. It doesn't build every little tool from scratch. It pulls in data through external APIs. This interconnected design, this is the architecture of the modern web.
And this whole system is built on a fundamental trade-off. On the one hand, using these specialized services is incredibly efficient. It lets companies scale up and add powerful features without having to build everything themselves. But, and this is a big but, the downside is significant. You give up direct control, you introduce all these new points of failure, and you create the risk of these cascading problems, where an issue with just one company creates a ripple effect across thousands of others.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. The very thing that makes the modern web so powerful, so dynamic, this vast interconnected web of services, is also its greatest and often hidden vulnerability. A single problem at one key third-party provider can slow down or break countless other websites that depend on it.
Which leaves us with a final, really important question to think about. In a web that's built on layers and layers of these dependencies, the whole idea of a single point of failure gets complicated. The failure point isn't just one server anymore. It could be any one of the dozens of invisible services that a website needs to fully load. And that right there makes the web both more resilient and, at the same time, more fragile than it has ever been before.